Hello, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, and welcome to another edition of Attlas Information Live. We are glad to have you here, and if this is your first time visiting us live or subsequently in a recording, then you're most welcome. We're most happy that you could join us today. Today, we are going to explore a topic which, of course, everyone, at the risk of making a generalization, most people believe they have a firm handle on. Most people will tell you that they meditate regularly and that they know what meditation is all about. And they have their own particular techniques, or perhaps they listen to meditation music or guided meditation. We won't say CDs or anything like that because we'll be dating ourselves. But generally speaking, meditation is a universally recognized practice, even among atheists and the secular medical community. Psychologists, psychiatrists, neurologists, neuropsychologists, they all agree that meditation, and mindfulness for that matter, is a practice that can lower our anxiety levels, lower our stress levels, help us manage stress better. Meditation helps us cleanse our psychology of problems or mental patterns, persistent thoughts, nagging worries, and all sorts of stressors that just constantly just won't leave us alone. And meditation is that practice where, given time and given patience, the mind will eventually settle down, and we can experience some relief, a respite from all of that mental activity, all of the cacophony in the busy mind, which, frankly, for many of us, even if we won't admit it or even if we don't notice it, that cacophony is a constant source of stress, is a constant source of nagging anxiety. If we observe ourselves, that is, practice mindfulness, and observe not just what is happening in our mind, but also in our emotional center, in our heart, and also in our physical body. The physical body can be an excellent barometer for our psychological state. For example, are you holding tension right now, anywhere in your body? Scan your body right now in this moment. There may be some hidden stressor causing tension somewhere in your body. It could be in your legs, could be in your hands, in your shoulders, in your neck, in the muscles of your head, of your scalp, of your brow. It could be the muscles in your jaw, Do you clench your teeth? Do you clench your jaw? It could be the muscles in your gluteus maximus. There are all sorts of places where we harbor stress, and we are tight, we are clenched up, we are not relaxed. And meditation, of course, is something that just about everybody will prescribe as a practice for relaxation, an excellent way to relax the mind, relax the heart, and relax the body. Why is that? Why should that be? Isn't meditation an active process? Doesn't it require our energy? Or do we just sit down or lie down and space out and let our minds take us, and just we sort of drift away and let our minds wander this way and that way until eventually they settle down? Or do we think that's what meditation is? Just lying still or sitting still and relaxing and just closing our eyes and just letting whatever will be will be. Or listening to some guided meditation and doing whatever the person who's leading the meditation is telling us to do. Visualize this, visualize that. Walk into your sacred space, walk into your sacred garden, look around your garden. What kind of trees are there? What kind of animals are there? There's a door at the end. Walk closer to the door, open up the door, walk through the door, these types of things. Visualization can be a very powerful component of meditation, but visualization in and of itself is not meditation. Neither is relaxation meditation. You can sit down or lie down and listen to a relaxation CD, and you can become very relaxed, but you're not necessarily meditating. Another component of meditation is concentration. Now, concentration can be a tricky one. Why? Because concentration, for many of us, most of the time, concentration denotes a fair amount of effort, of focus, of willed attention. And if we were to say to you now, focus on my finger and really focus on it and really observe it and concentrate, and then observe your physical body as you do that. Is there tension anywhere? Namely, in your brow or in the back of the neck or elsewhere in your body as you attempt to focus your attention and concentrate? So concentration and relaxation may appear to us on the surface as an oxymoron, as paradoxical. Well, how can I concentrate if I'm supposed to relax? Aha. Now you're getting it. Now we're getting somewhere. Likewise with visualization. If you want your visualization to be clear and precise with great amounts of detail, you need to focus and concentrate on that visualization. But you don't want to tense up. You want to remain relaxed. What's more, if you are focusing or visualizing any one phenomenon, your mind may want to change that phenomenon, because the busy mind wants to come and become involved, wants to come and condition your visualization process. And the temptation is there to grip onto whatever you're visualizing and hold it tightly, and not to let the mind come and interfere with your precious sacred meditation. Yeah, but the problem with that is that you are causing a great deal of tension and a great deal of strain, including in the mind. And if there's one thing we can tell you with absolute certainty, is you cannot and you must not attempt to force the mind. If you are attempting to exert any sort of control over the mind, the tension that you create, the energetic resistance, which results, it will be like a tug of war. And even if you manage to do this and remain relaxed physically and relaxed emotionally, you will not be relaxed mentally. There will be a strain, there will be a stress as you're trying to maintain whatever it is you're holding on to, or you're trying to quiet the mind, and you might be forcing and using some sort of tactic, some sort of technique like mantra, and you're really focusing and concentrating on this mantra over and over and over and over again, 100 times, 1,000 times, and you think you can subdue the mind by bludgeoning it into submission, by completely cementing over it with some other activity, would be it your visualization or your mantralization or whatever it is, and you think that you can essentially be a bronco buster of the mind, and that you're going to break it, you're going to tame it, you're going to show it who's boss. That can be whatever you think it is, but it's not going to be a meditation. It's not going to get you into a state of meditation. You're going to be stuck in the mind, and you're going to be using your willpower and a great deal of energy and focus and concentration to try to keep the Tasmanian devil in its crate. Hopefully you will know that reference to the Looney Tunes cartoon. It was one of our favorites as when we were a kid, the Tasmanian devil, because that's really what the mind is, right? It's Tasmanian devil. It's just whirling and slobbering and growling and hissing and just crashing and just creating havoc wherever it goes. We started off today just jumping right into things because, again, most people have some notion, some semblance of meditation, and they have some experience with it. And so some of what we've shared, you probably have experienced to one degree or another. But it's always good to revisit this topic and refresh ourselves with what meditation really is and what meditation is for. Because that's also a misunderstood, misappreciated factor of meditation, especially when it comes to secularization and the psychological, physiological, neurological benefits of meditation as purported by the materialist scientists and the allopathic healthcare professionals and conventional psychologists, where they say, oh yeah, meditation is a really good practice. And they've taken MRIs of Buddhist monks in meditation, and they wonder and they marvel at all the wonderful things that the meditation does to the brain. Okay, fair enough. But that's not why we meditate. That's not why we meditate. We also don't meditate to relax. If you want to relax, you can relax without meditation. You don't need meditation to relax. You don't. Many individual has gone on an all-inclusive holiday to the Bahamas or Bermuda or Central America or the south of France or wherever, or Hawaii or whatever it is, and an individual has found ways to relax without requiring meditation. So the idea that meditation is there to help you relax, it's not. You have to be relaxed in order to do meditation. It's the reverse. You don't need meditation to relax. You need to relax in order to meditate. It's a correlation causation fallacy. They get it all backwards. Same with visualization. You can visualize and not be meditating. You can concentrate and not be meditating. You can concentrate on a visualization and not be meditating. As always, we've just included the link to the live stream to come on, participate in the live stream. We've just put it into the chat, and it's there on screen. But Azazel says, he asks, when we were talking about the Tasmanian devil, Azazel asks, like the devil from Cow and Chicken. No, not the devil from Cow and Chicken. That's a relatively modern phenomenon, is it not? We're not too familiar with modern what's the word we're looking for? Cartoons. We're not familiar with modern cartoons. So this is the Tasmanian devil. Yeah, there. Okay. That's a Tasmanian devil from Looney Tunes. And you can certainly, well, I mean, obviously you can read up about it on Wikipedia if you want, but the way to truly appreciate the Tasmanian devil is to watch an actual Looney Tunes cartoons, which we can't actually turn up the sound or anything because we'll get struck with a this is a modern Looney Tunes thing. This is not even a classic Looney Tunes one. Anyway, so you can find classic Looney Tunes cartoons on YouTube or wherever, and you can discover. He says, "Oh, him. He's called the red guy from Cow and Chicken." So I'm just not familiar with. You'll have to educate me. Not that it's that important, but anyway. But that Tasmanian devil is what we like to say we have to deal with when we approach meditation. So again, backing up just a moment, we mentioned several different factors or several different aspects: relaxation, visualization, and concentration. There is a fourth element of meditation, which generally speaking, you don't hear about. Generally speaking, no one, when we say no one, practically no one will ever advise you to incorporate the fourth element. That fourth element is prayer. And most people, when they think about prayer, they think about prayer as the separate thing, the separate practice that you do. If you want to pray, you pray. If you want to meditate, you meditate, and they separate the two. Now, not every meditation incorporates prayer. There are forms of meditation and practices of meditation, clearly, where prayer is not a requirement. However, to be a very effective meditator and have a full arsenal, a full toolkit of meditation practices and techniques, it's important to know how to incorporate prayer into our meditations. Not all the time, but some of the time. And if you have never done so, if you've never practiced meditation in that way, you really don't know what you're missing. And prayer, obviously, you will not hear any doctor or neurologist or psychologist or psychiatrist or anybody in the secular space. Most of them don't even explain how to meditate. Most of them don't even know what meditation really is, frankly, because there is no physiological explanation. There is no way for them to ascertain, even if they're conducting an MRI or they're plugging you into EEGs or all of their gadgetry, cannot tell someone whether they're meditating or not. Only an individual knows that. But it's not enough to believe that you are either. You either are or you are not. And then, of course, there are levels and levels and levels and levels and levels. Where do you go on your meditation? How deep, how far in scope, in, again, depth? These are things that, generally speaking, most people, when they talk about meditation, they don't go there. They don't talk about this stuff. The technical or more advanced aspects of meditation. Again, most people believe that lying down or sitting down in a lotus position, closing their eyes, burning some incense or burning some candles and playing some meditation music and spacing out for half an hour or even 10 minutes. And they say, okay, I did my 10-minute meditation for today. And they get up and they go. And they haven't even begun to meditate. But they think that they did 10 minutes of meditation. Why? Because they sat still and quiet and they closed their eyes and they listened to some meditation CD, some 432 hertz frequency or whatever these different frequencies are that these YouTube videos profess to be good for this and good for that, and this frequency and that frequency, and alpha waves and gamma waves and beta waves and all the rest of it. Meditation, genuine meditation, is a state that you achieve without the use of any artifice. In other words, now, you can prepare your space. It doesn't hurt if you burn some frankincense or some other, or sage or some other incense. It doesn't hurt, and it doesn't harm your meditation by any means. It can assist you because these are cleansing agents, right? They are aromas, and you can work with essential oils as well if you have a diffuser. And these are cleansing, smudging agents which help detoxify our immediate environment from astral larvae, from negative entities, which will have a detrimental effect on your meditation because they will cause disturbances in the mental plane, in the emotional plane, in the physical plane, or in the etheric plane, which then translates into the physical plane. So if you burn some incense or work with some essential oils and smudge your space before your meditation, you will find it much easier to get into that state of meditation, which may be appropriate to your needs in terms of time and in terms of efficacy. Some might argue that, no, you don't want to do that. You want to meditate in a loud, noisy place because then you're really flexing your meditative muscles. what you're doing is you are going to be burning up a lot of energy on the concentration aspect and focusing in and concentrating on the meditation at the exclusion of everything else. So a fair amount of your conscious energy will be consumed in that effort. And this doesn't necessarily make you a better meditator. Like anything that you practice, you will get better at it, presumably. You'll become better at blocking things out and focusing in on one thing. But remember that during the day, mindfulness is all about being aware and present of everything around you. So being able to focus in on one thing and block everything else out is not necessarily a skill or a talent or an ability that is transferable to our daily life. Just something to consider. Generally speaking, when we go about the task of meditating, we seek a quiet space and we seek a space that is free of distraction. And we seek a time that we know no one will be interrupting us. So late in the evening, when everyone else has gone to bed or when everybody else is settling down for the evening, and you know that you have some quiet time before you yourself go to sleep, you have that window of opportunity. And then there's also the early morning or in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. If you wake up at 3 a.m., you know that at that time, somewhere between 3 and 6, generally speaking, you know that you will not be interrupted. Anywhere in that block of time, 3, 4, 5 a.m., you're in a very quiet space. No one is going to interrupt you. Even if you're in a big city, it's generally speaking not too noisy at that time. So the distractions are minimalized. The other advantage of seeking that time, whether it's early in the morning or late in the evening, is that we can benefit from the being in a sleepy state or a semi-sleepy state. Our eyes are heavy, we're starting to get drowsy, we're tired after a long day, or we've just woken up early in the morning or the middle of the night, we're still drowsy and sleepy. That state is very, very conducive to meditation because we're awake, we're conscious, but the body and the mind and our senses are not yet fully awake. And because they're not fully awake, they're dulled. And since they are dulled, the activity in our nervous system and in the brain and our consciousness related to those sensory perceptions are minimalized. So you see, as opposed to trying to prove something to ourselves because we can meditate in the middle of Times Square in the middle of rush hour, and we think to ourselves, well, I must be a world-class meditator because I can meditate there. As opposed to doing that and believing that about ourselves, meditation is one of those rare practices where we don't want to make it harder. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin because that doesn't make us better meditators. What makes us better meditators is utilizing all of our free consciousness that is available to us and absolutely minimizing any leakage of energy or awareness in unnecessary ways. Because where we are going and what we are seeking to accomplish is a task of working with free consciousness. So we want to work with as much as possible, as much that as is available to us. And so, yes, quiet space, free of distraction, free of annoyances. Turn your phone off. Put it on flight mode. You don't need that electromagnetic field inches away from your head while you're meditating. Nobody's going to call you. And even if they are, you don't want them calling you while you're meditating. So leave the phone in the other room, put it on flight mode or do not disturb mode. We mentioned meditating at night or before you go to bed, if you can manage it. Now, if you have listened to glorian.org, some of the lectures, and you listen to Anthony, Anthony comes down very hard on individuals who fall asleep while meditating. What we confess here and now, okay? We do not do well meditating at night. We fall asleep. I fall asleep. And Anthony can, rage and rail all he wants. Like I've said many, many times to you all, I've confessed many times, I'm a terrible Gnostic. I'm a terrible Gnostic. And one of the reasons why I'm a terrible Gnostic is because I can't meditate at night without falling asleep. No matter how hard I try, I can't prevent myself from falling asleep during meditation. I can't do it. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. But the folks at Glorian, like especially Anthony, he makes it come across like somehow it's our fault, right? Like it's my fault that I fall asleep. Like I'm somehow not meditating correctly, or I'm lazy, or I'm whatever. I don't know, whatever it is I'm doing, right? In my particular case, I also can't prevent myself from having a seizure. And I have grand mal seizures, which means I lose conscious awareness. If the demon wants, the demon can come and take me over like this and I go bye-bye. Okay, so that's a seizure. I can't stop that either. I can't prevent that either. So I tend to side on the side of caution and on the side of mercy and compassion. If you find yourself unable to stay awake, meditating at certain times, don't meditate at those times. I can wake up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and I can meditate for an hour, 2 hours straight and not fall asleep. At other times in the day, I can meditate and not fall asleep. It's just if I sit in a chair or I lie down or whatever, after a certain period, after a certain hour, after like within a certain window of my bedtime, it's just, I don't know exactly. Maybe it's just I just get too relaxed or whatever. My body is just so accustomed or maybe I just enjoy sleep too much. Who knows? I don't know. So, but I try to avoid meditating at night, or if I do, I know that maybe I'll get half an hour or 45 minutes into it, and then poof, I'll be gone, and I will not be able to finish my meditation. I'll just drift off into sleep. Now, if that happens, generally speaking, my dreams are quite interesting. I very often will find myself in dreams lecturing or like talking about spirituality, and so I'm much more lucid in my dreams, but not necessarily lucid dreaming, if that makes any sense. But my dreams are much more spiritual in nature if I meditate and fall asleep while meditating. It's an interesting phenomenon. But because I live with this fear and insecurity and anxiety that stems from that, it's all related to that demon of epilepsy that I live with. I can't help but hear Anthony's voice in my head every time when I wake up in the middle of the night. I know that I fell asleep meditating. I can hear Anthony's voice in my head of you shouldn't fall asleep. Oh, you better, you know what I mean? This type of thing. So I know what that's like. And I'm sharing that with you because meditating is not easy. And all of us, face obstacles to our meditation. And no, and those obstacles can be a whole myriad of possibilities. For example, when you sit down to meditate or when you lie down to meditate, do you start to itch? Does it not drive you crazy that you're sitting there and you haven't scratched, you haven't gotten an itch all day? And then the minute you lie down or sit down to meditate and you're 2 minutes, 5 minutes into your meditation, all of a sudden you get an itch here, or you get an itch there, or in the middle of your back, or on the bottom of your foot, or your big toe, or and it's like, and it's just needling you and needling and needling and needling and needling and needling and needling. That's not by accident. That's not by accident. One of the ways that we know that we're on the right track with our meditations is by how much resistance we experience as we move closer and closer and closer to that state of meditation. And that is another important point of distinction. We do not begin to meditate when we sit down or when we lie down and close our eyes and relax. That's not when we begin meditating. That's when we begin to prepare for meditation. We might spend 15 minutes, half an hour, however long it takes, just relaxing. And we might perform pranayama in preparation. We choose our asana, which is a fancy word for position, if we're going to be sitting or if we're going to be lying down, if we're going to be sitting in a chair. Even Master Samael didn't recommend the lotus position for Westerners. Some people insist in sitting in the lotus position. We don't know many people who can sit in the lotus position for very long without it starting to become extremely uncomfortable for them. We certainly can't do it. I mean, we're 6'3", and our legs just, we can sit in the lotus position for 5, 10, 15 minutes, but beyond that, it's certainly not conducive to the meditations that we are wanting to have. And we can sit in a chair, of course, and that works, but our preferred position for meditation is lying down. And you might say to us, well, no wonder you fall asleep. It's like, no, because if we meditate at night in a chair, we fall asleep in the chair. It has nothing to do with our position. And remember, when we wake up at 3 a.m, we meditate in bed. We don't get up. We're lying in the corpse pose, what's called the corpse pose, and we're meditating in bed. We don't fall asleep. So there's nothing to do with our position, why we fall asleep or not fall asleep. It has everything to do with the time of day for whatever reason. So preparing to meditate is choosing that position and relaxing and settling into that position. And if you want to balance your energies and work with some pranayama, that's very, very beneficial as part of your preparation for meditation. And as we've described in other lectures related to pranayama, you can begin incorporating visualization and concentration in your pranayama stage of preparing for meditation. So one of the things that we can do, and if we just do some simple pranayama, if you want to do hamsa, for example, you inhale hum, but this is mentally, of course. You can't pronounce anything while you're inhaling. Don't try to do it. So it's just mentally in your mind, you pronounce the mantra hum as on the inhalation. And you can visualize the caduceus of caduceus of Mercury, which where is it? There we go. Right? So as you're performing your pranayama, you can visualize on the inhalation the energy rising up in the channels Ida and Pingala, and the staff. This is the caduceus of Mercury is the staff of Hermes. It's the same symbol, obviously, and the staff is a spinal column, and the serpents are Ida and Pingala, and you can visualize that as you inhale and pronounce hum. Then, with the energy now at the top of the head, you can visualize a tongue of fire, like atop of the apostles' heads in the Pentecost, or your glowing ball of light, or a crown of flames, or whatever you want, and go tss, and then bring it around to the third eye. So now you illuminate the third eye between your brow, and then finally you exhale and send the light into your heart. And you can practice this 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, 100 times, whatever you feel comfortable with as part of your preparation for meditation. But if you incorporate the visualization aspect of it, and you visualize that fire atop of your head, and you visualize your third eye blazing with fire, and you visualize the energy going into your heart, you can, you can become creative with those visualizations, right? There are many ways. This is the Sacred Heart, obviously. And this is the, right? The flaming heart of Christ. So when you breathe and breathe that fire into your heart, you can, again, use your creative visualization. This is maybe better. Here, that's better. Let's make that bigger. Okay. So this, then, you're warming up your visualization skills. You're warming them up as you are working with your vital energies and bringing them into balance. And you're focusing on concentration, because you have to concentrate on the visualization. You concentrate on moving the energy up to the crown chakra, for example, and then around to the third eye, and then into the heart. There's concentration involved. And if you can manage to do all this and stay relaxed, then it's like warming up for exercise, right? You don't go out and, do your 400-meter relay without spending a fair amount of time warming up your muscles, getting the blood flowing, and doing some stretches and preparing yourself for that competitive sport. Meditation is something similar. Meditation, it's not something that you can just sit down, close your eyes, and boom, dive into. A little preparation goes a long way, especially in terms of relaxation and concentration, and then warming up the visualization. But as we've described, you don't have to do hamsa meditation. We've shared with you, including in our live stream on pranayama, that Sivananda, even though there's like 1,000 different ways to do pranayama, like, let's be clear, there are so many different ways, we can't even list them all. But Sivananda suggests a methodology for pranayama, which is so simple, but it strikes one as counterintuitive compared with hamsa meditation, because in hamsa there's a great deal of focus on breathing in very slowly, and the idea that we have to draw the energy up the spinal column, and that's somehow a slow process, and then we have to accumulate it, and then it's hamsa, right? So it's like the out breath part is more, not that it's an afterthought, but there's more emphasis on the inhalation. And Sivananda says, on the contrary, breathe in quite quickly, and then imperceptibly, you can hold the breath just for a moment or two, and then imperceptibly allow the breath to settle down into the heart without any sound, without any effort, without any strain. But you focus and you concentrate on it being here, and moving it to your third eye, and then moving it and settling it down into your heart. And it's not your physical heart that the breath is settling into, but your heart chakra, which of course it's your whole torso. Now, in our experience doing this meditation, and we can still visualize the caduceus of Mercury. We can still visualize the Sacred Heart. We can still visualize, and there's many different ways we can visualize that Sacred Heart, right? We can also, when we're breathing out and we're moving, let's find something that's boy, you know, when you actually need one. Okay, let's no, let's go back. Here, let's do this one. No, we didn't want to do that. Why don't we just go here and go here? Let's see if we can get that pretty big. There we go. Okay, so we have three things that we can visualize: the caduceus of Mercury, okay, the third eye, and then the heart. These are the three key points as we're doing that pranayama. But as we are doing it, okay, let's put it back on the third eye for a second. There it is. As we're doing it, as we concentrate, you're doing concentration, you will feel your third eye becoming activated. So as you're concentrating and visualizing the energy rising up the spinal column to the top of the head, and you can hold it there, and you can visualize the tongues of fire, right? The Pentecostal fire. So, okay, why not? There we go. No, that's too small. How about, well, there we go. There's a whole bunch of Pentecostal fire you can visualize at the top of your head. So, regardless, as you're concentrating and focusing on all of this, you will feel your third eye expanding. You will feel the pressure in your third eye. And just naturally, and you breathe naturally with no strain, with no effort, with no superfluous psah. You're not making any sounds, you're not making any noises, and you will find that this becomes a natural rhythm that you not only you sort of you find your own rhythm and your own groove, and the visualization, the focus, the concentration will all naturally start falling into place. And what you will find is you can maintain this cadence throughout your meditation, essentially combining pranayama with meditation. And this has enormous possibilities. There seems to be some latency. Okay, you know what? We're just going to close everything down. There seems to be some slowdown, some latency in the transmission. Anyway, hopefully it'll speed up. Let's get to a couple comments here. As Azil says, demons also have their particular timings, and knowing some of them, they would overpower me rather than letting me extract something that's useful from meditation. They know this as well. That's a good point. And considering that when we were first diagnosed with epilepsy, most of our seizures were happening at night. We were having nocturnal seizures. So that's a good point. That that it's just that's like you said, that's that demon's time, and that when it's more powerful. As also says, but those at Glorienne stand with a sword to challenge you too, as if it were a duel, and that also serves a purpose for some. No, that's true. We don't. We're not criticizing Glorienne for what they do, not in any way, shape, or form. But on occasion, well, I mean, they can't know everything, right? So they don't have everyone's experience. Clearly, they don't know what it's like to be possessed by a demon. They don't know what it's like to have epilepsy, for example. So there is no one size fits all when it comes to matters of esotericism. Everyone is different. Everyone's karma is different. Everyone's dealing with different egos and different levels of being and different circumstances, and everybody's here doing a different thing. So sometimes we just have to be aware of that. And it just so happens that for a long time, I was very, very self-conscious about the fact that I couldn't do retrospection meditation at night. I would have to wait until the next morning. Because if I tried to do retrospection meditation, I would fall asleep. So I couldn't do it at night. I had to do it in the morning. And it didn't matter what I did or how I did it. I tried everything to prevent myself from falling asleep. Nothing worked. I could not prevent myself from falling asleep. To this day, I can't keep myself from falling asleep at night if I try to meditate after a certain time. It's just, it is what it is, right? I don't think of myself any lesser because of it, but I'm a terrible Gnostic, right? That's just, I know that. I'm a terrible Gnostic. So, but again, I'm a terrible Gnostic if you treat Gnosis like a religion, right? I don't treat Gnosis like a religion. I think it's wrong to treat Gnosis as a religion. Even Master Samael said, "Do not follow me." Even Master Samael said, "Do not treat Gnosis as a religion. It is not a religion. It is the foundation of all religions." There's a difference. There's a big difference. So even though at times, even on this channel, we are very adamant and we're very particular about certain facets of practice and certain facets of the teachings, there are few things that are so carved in granite where there is no allowances, right? Where there's no leeway, there's no wiggle room for those who do not fit into the convenient, under the hump of the bell curve, right? For those of us who are in the tails of that bell curve, for whatever reason, just know that love is severity and mercy in balanced measure, applied unconditionally with infinite wisdom. As long as we always keep that in mind, then if we run into a situation where, for whatever reason, we cannot do ABC or XYZ, then we have to resign ourselves and put our faith and trust that whatever we've been saddled with and whatever we're dealing with is not an impediment to our advancement and is not a slur on us as individuals or on us as a monad or as a being, that because we can't do, like, for example, if somebody has a physical impediment and can't perform yoga, can't perform the rites of rejuvenation, for example, or can't perform runes because they're paralyzed in a wheelchair, right? Clearly, even though, or perhaps they have They have difficulty. They can't mantralize, right? Because of they have throat cancer or something, right? We have to recognize that there is a whole spectrum of practices, and each one of those practices comes with a myriad sorts of rules and regulations related to those practices. But within those, there is significant leeway. Even in the practice of white tantra, there is room and space for white magicians, practitioners of sexual magic, to fall, to make mistakes, because the lords of karma are not tyrants. The gods are not tyrants, right? The path is difficult, and many things along the path are difficult and challenging. And for some of us, because of what we are saddled with, of what we're carrying, the burdens that we're carrying with, and our defects and vices that we're dealing with and coping with, those demons are trying to hinder us, as Azazel points out. They're trying to sabotage our ability to advance. And we must learn how to be merciful with ourselves and not expect ourselves to be perfect. We will make mistakes. We will fall. We will have hiccups, and we will face obstacles that we can't, overcome in the traditional sense of just keep hammering at it over and over and over and over and over. Like, imagine if we just kept trying to meditate at night over and over and over and didn't do retrospection meditation, because you're supposed to do it at the end of the day. And imagine if we ended up not doing retrospection meditation because every time we tried, we fell asleep. Number one, how demoralized would we be? What would we be thinking of ourselves? And how much progress could we have made? Because we weren't doing retrospection meditation. Why? Because you're supposed to do it at the end of the day, right? That's what they say on Glorienne. But they don't consider that people can't meditate at the end of the day because they always fall asleep, because they say, no, you shouldn't. You should be able to keep yourself from not falling asleep. Okay. In an ideal world, yes, I imagine, but I don't know what that takes. They don't explain what that takes. They don't have a technique or a methodology to help you keep from not falling asleep. So we're left and we're stuck with what we have to work with. And my intuition said, you know what? It can wait till tomorrow morning. Retrospection, it can wait till tomorrow morning. What's more, if you wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever time it is you wake up and you meditate, you can meditate on the events of the previous day. And as a bonus, you can retrospect on your dreams. And very often, the dreams we have are a repeat or tell us something possibly in relation to the day that we just had. They could also be a preview to the day that we're about to have, but oftentimes we repeat the same thing we do during the day in our dreams. So very often, not only would I be retrospecting on the previous day, but if I had a dream about that event, I would be able to retrospect on the event, but also the dream about the event. Regardless, if you find yourself in a similar situation where there's a certain time of day that you can't meditate without falling asleep, maybe you can't meditate at 3 a.m. without falling back asleep. Okay, relax about it. Don't give up. Keep trying. But if you're really like just beating your head up against a wall about it, relax, fine. Then don't try to meditate at 3 a.m., meditate at 5 a.m., right? Set your alarm half an hour early or an hour early and meditate then where you know you're not going to fall asleep because it's so close to your get up time. And relax about you have to meditate at this time of day or that time of day or what time of day or this time of day. Relax about all of that. Relax, relax, relax. Because if you can't relax, you can't meditate. And if you're not relaxed about when you're meditating, what time of day it is, and why you're not doing it at the prescribed time, your mind is going to be so worried. You're going to have so much anxiety about that you're not actually going to be able to meditate. And that's a self-fulfilling, self-sabotaging prophecy. So again, we mention this out of our own experience, number one, but also because real, genuine meditation is difficult. It's not easy. It's not some frivolous activity that people think it is. Most people do not meditate. They think they meditate, but they don't meditate. Most people do not know what real meditation is because no one has ever explained it to them, or they themselves have never bothered to inquire. And when you are serious about being a meditator, then you become so much more aware of just how difficult it is. And the more advanced a meditator you become, what you discover is it doesn't get any easier. The hindrances, the obstacles become more subtle. And the difficulties we face are just at another level, at a different level of difficulty. In the same way that a beginner at anything, a beginner learning to play the piano, they learn chopsticks. Yeah, and it's really hard for them at first playing chopsticks, right? But it's no less hard for the master pianist trying to learn Rachmaninoff as it is for the beginner learning chopsticks, because at each level of progression, the challenges meet us at the level that we are at. And it's the same with everything. That's what keeps us motivated, and that's what keeps us challenged, and that's what keeps us striving to better ourselves and to further develop our skills and abilities, especially when it comes to the practices, especially when it comes to meditation. Azazel makes a comment here. The purpose should be not to fall on purpose. If we're assuming that you make that comment in reference to white tantra. And yes, no, we don't want to fall on purpose. That's correct. Okay, then. Then what is meditation? If it's not spacing out, if it's not relaxing, if it's not just visualizing, if it's not just doing, not just listening to, relaxation music or classical music or meditation CDs, then what is meditation? In the simplest experiential way, meditation is delving deeper into oneself. Meditation is a journey through the depths of one's own beingness. Understanding, of course, that in our present state, we are in this physical body, we are in this mental body, we are in this emotional body, and we are in this vital body. And that our sense of self is, to one degree or another, bound within this we were going to say four-dimensional. It's a technically we might say fifth dimensional experience, because we're here in 3D space, but our mind and our emotions are fifth dimensional and our vital body is fourth dimensional. So we can experience the mind and the physical body and the emotional body and the body of chi, the body of our vitality. When we close our eyes, we enter into our meditation, we are taking our consciousness and we are delving and diving deep into ourselves. The experience of that, in one way, shape, or form, must capture the essence of that description. So if we're just closing our eyes and we're just spacing out and we're letting ourselves go wherever we're taken, or just relaxing, or we don't even know what people do in those states because we don't do that anymore. So how do we achieve that experience? There are obviously a number of different methodologies. There are a number of different techniques. One of them, perhaps the simplest one, is the basic Buddhist meditation technique. And it's the technique that Buddhist monks are taught, and they are taught to practice. And it is as simple as the following. You relax, you close your eyes, you don't worry about visualization other than the blackness, the darkness within. You just allow yourself to see what is in front of you, which is nothing, which is just black. And you concentrate and you breathe in and you breathe out. And with each out breath, you will get to a point where the breath just stops before the next in breath. So you have this plateau, the breath bottoms out, in other words. Okay, and you can sustain that, you can hold that. You don't want to hold it for too long, just naturally. But as you focus on the breath being bottomed out, with your eyes closed and concentrating, you dive. You allow the bottoming out of the breath to pull you, to take you. You fall forward and in and deep. And then you breathe in again. And you breathe out. And as the breath bottoms out, you fall again deeper. And with each bottoming out of the breath, which with each out breath, you sink a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper, and allow your body to become more relaxed with the bottoming out of each breath, and your focus and your concentration into the sensation of falling or diving or delving, or use the words which speak to you. And if you see yourself moving deeper into this dark tunnel, okay, then fine. Just know that the way the Buddhists teach this methodology is to work with the cadence of the breath and allowing that release of the breath. You release everything, even the tension in the lungs, and everything gets released. And with that release, there's that plunging, that advance, where you can slip further away out of your physical body and out of your mental body and out of your emotional body and your vital body. Because as the breath bottoms out, it's like dying a little bit with each breath. And you might find that at the beginning of this practice, your breaths are occurring relatively frequently. But as you progress further along in the practice, don't make a point of this. Don't think about it. Don't plan for it, but just observe and pay attention. At some point, half an hour in, you may find that the duration between breaths is significantly greater than what it was when you began. And this is because your heart rate is being slowed right down. And your whole body, mind, everything is being slowly and slowly and slowly and slowly tapered off and tapered down. And again, your focus is just to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And as Azil points out, we failed once when we realized that we haven't breathed for 10 minutes. It's possible, okay? Because, yogis who do this, who practice this, there are yogis who can stop their heart. Yeah, and then you suddenly your mind goes, hey, wait a minute, we're supposed to be breathing, and then boom, snaps you out of the meditation. All of a sudden you're like, right? So again, this is you can't die from meditation, okay? Nobody has ever died from meditation. Don't worry about that. Okay, you won't accidentally stop your heart. You won't get yourself into a situation where you can't pull yourself back from it. But if you find yourself alarmed by the fact that I can't remember when the last time I took a breath was, boom, you'll snap yourself out of the meditation. So again, so when we talk about relaxation, clearly relaxing the physical body and relaxing the vital body, that helps settle the mind and settle the emotion. We're relaxing our emotional body and our mental body. And we're even relaxing our causal body, because we want to use the minimal amount of willpower necessary to maintain our focus and maintain our concentration. Remember, what we are maximizing here is free consciousness. So the more energy we have in order to focus and direct towards that task of working with the free consciousness, the more powerful a meditation we will have, the deeper we can go, the more profound a state we can achieve. So that's one technique. That's perhaps the easiest, well, easy is not the right word, simplest, because it's breathing and it's falling, right? It's breathing and it's falling. And you have to, and relaxing and focusing. There's no real visualization involved. There's no prayer involved. You just, if you have a prayer, on the out breath, as the breath bottoms out, you can say, you know, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. But frankly, you might start like that at the beginning, but you will abandon that soon enough, because you will be willing it. You will be consciously going deeper. You won't have to be affirming it in your mind, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. You'll just be consciously doing it. You'll be feeling it. You'll be there. You will just be deeper. You will be going deeper. You won't have to tell yourself to go deeper. You will just be going deeper. And that's really the point of meditation. Meditation is not about doing. Meditation is all about being. Right? So we do the absolute minimum required in order to be. And this first practice really is the epitome of that, where it's really just a being kind of meditation. Where Azazel says, even once, he got to the point where it felt like he hadn't taken a breath for 10 minutes. Where even breathing becomes superfluous and almost unnecessary, because we achieve such a state of being where doing is almost pointless. And we're no longer doing anything, then we really are being. We're being so much that we don't even have to breathe, because breathing is doing. So you can do the same meditation without incorporating the breath aspect of it, focusing more and concentrating more on the heart and the third eye, and going deeper into the heart. And you'll activate the third eye, and you won't have to consciously think about breath or breathing, and you won't have to worry about the cadence of breathing, and you won't have to do so. A second related technique is like still going deeper, 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 but you're going deeper into your heart. And how you're going deeper is from your third eye. And when you know you've reached a point where you can begin meditation, is when the points between your heart, when your heart and your third eye are coincident. Now, this is very hard to explain, but as you close your eyes, and even now, if you breathe and just close your eyes and just focus on your heart and just relax and concentrate and put your conscious awareness and concentration on your heart, you will feel your third eye coming into activation. So you will be able to feel yourself in your heart, but you will also be able to feel yourself in your third eye. You'll be able to feel those two distinct distinct and seemingly separate points. As you progress, you're not consciously trying to pull these together. Don't make that mistake. Remember, this is not an academic exercise. This is not an intellectual exercise. This is not an exercise of forcing anything. This is meditation. You just simply focus on the task at hand, which is, in this case, the practice is going deeper and deeper and deeper into your heart, into the atom nous, specifically, the nous atom, the we atom. And as you do so, you will feel both of those presences. And as you progress and as you progress and as you progress, without consciously wanting to do so, trying to do so, or expecting that it should happen, at some point, your third eye and your heart will be one point. What exactly that feels like and how, that's impossible to explain. It's impossible to visualize or imagine. You have to experience it. But once you experience it, now you know you are in a state of meditation. Now your meditation begins. The challenge with both of these practices is that it takes an incredible amount of patience, a incredible amount of diligence. Buddhist monks practice for hours and hours daily for years. And some of them don't experience a samadhi during that time. Well, they've dedicated their life to being a Buddhist monk, and so they must do the practices in accordance with how they are taught, in accordance with the traditions of a Buddhist monk, because that is the life that they chose. We didn't make any kind of commitment like that, so you can use these practices, and you can work with these practices, and if you want to change things up, you can experiment with either of these practices, going deeper, deeper, deeper. But just a word of warning, we discourage two things. The first one is bouncing back and forth between all these different meditation practices. I'm going to meditate like this today. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to meditate like that. And then I'm not going to try something different, try something different. Doing that, you never get good at anything. You never become very adept and very skilled at any one way. At the same time, you don't want to limit yourself to just one way to meditate, where this is the way I meditate like this, I always meditate like this, I don't do anything else, that's it. Somewhere between those two extremes, there's this happy median where you are aware of a number of different techniques, and you've even done a few of these techniques. And some of these techniques you find more beneficial for you than others. Some work better for you than others. And so you have the ones which, generally speaking, work well for you. And you follow your heart, you follow your intuition, depending on the purpose of your meditation any particular day. Sometimes maybe you're low on energy, or or you've had a tough day or whatever, and you just need to do the simplest, no nonsense, like nothing complicated, just something really, really, really simple. Here's a third way of a really simple meditation. Again, related to this going deeper stuff. Okay, so there's a theme, right? These first three are all about going deeper, just that as we describe what meditation is. a journey into the self, going deeper, right? Like you're a deep sea diver. Like visualize uh, in um, in Titanic, at the beginning of Titanic, when they're going down in the deep sea diving bell. That's what they call them, right? Diving bells or diving submersibles now, I guess they call them. And just going down and down and down and vanishing into the darkness, right? That's what we're doing, right? The vastness and the depths of the ocean of the mind, the ocean of the consciousness, the ocean of the being. And we're delving, going deeper and deeper and deeper. So the third practice, we had one where you're doing the cadence of the breath, and as the breath bottoms out, you go a little bit deeper, right? So you end up going like this, right? So as each time you breathe and the breath bottoms out, you go a little bit deeper, right? The second one is focusing on the heart, and you feel it in your third eye, and you just focus on the heart deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the heart until you can no longer distinguish between your third eye and your heart. They're one and the same. And that's when you've now hit the wide open field of meditation. The third practice, again, going deeper. You go deeper into your body. Now, how is this different? Well, because we know that we are a multidimensional being. We have the physical body, we have the vital body, the emotional body, the mental body, the causal body, the Buddhic body, and the atmic body. But the physical body is not so simple. If you're going to do this practice, here's how it works. Lie down. You can do this in a chair, but it's so much more effective if you're lying down. Because when you're lying down, your weight is perfectly distributed across your whole body. You can do this in a bed, you can do this on the floor, you can do it on a yoga mat, but you lie in the corpse pose, or you lie in a pentagram. So the pentagram is the Vesuvian man, your arms out to the sides and your legs splayed out, so you make a star out of yourself, right? Just like the pentagram. The corpse pose is you lie down with your arms at your side and your heels together and your legs spread apart. So your heels don't have to be perfectly together, but just comfortably, and you allow your feet to fan out to either side, and your arms are comfortably at your side. That's the corpse pose. Either one of these works. And you begin by focusing on your physical body. Now, you want to begin, as all meditation does, with relaxation. You want to relax, relax, relax. And you know that there's that technique for scanning your body and letting it go. It's a relaxation technique. You start at the bottom of your feet and you work through your toes, your feet, your ankles, your calves, your knees, your hamstrings, your upper legs, your hips, your pelvic region, your stomach, your chest, your biceps, your forearms, your hands, your fingers, your neck, and then all the muscles in your face, all the way to the top of your head. You just focus each and every one of those body parts, one by one by one. And as you focus on them, you let them go. You let them go, and you let yourself sink body part by body part by body part into the mat or into the bed or into the floor or whatever you're lying on. Right? This works much better on the floor than it does on the chair, because no matter what kind of chair you have, unless you have a $5,000 anti-gravity chair, which is practically like lying down anyway, your body weight will not be evenly distributed, and you will feel more force in certain parts of your body, probably in your gluteus maximus and in your back and maybe your neck, depending on what's holding up your head or whatever. So lying down, and if you may need to put something under your head when you're lying down, not a huge pillow, but maybe a rolled up towel, just so you keep your your spine and your neck straight, right? That's very helpful. Or if you have a low pillow to put under your head, because many people when they lie down on your back, their head, it arches back unnaturally and uncomfortably. So you want to put something under your head when you're lying down to meditate. All right, so coming back to after you've done your relaxation phase, you begin focus on your skin, because we're going to be going deeper and deeper and deeper into each of our bodies. But the physical body has this advantage for us that we have layers to our physical body. And so we can prep ourselves for this internal meditation by beginning with the outer layer of our body, which is our skin. You can bring your attention, your focus, concentration to your skin. And actually, what you're really going to be feeling a lot of the time is you're going to be feeling the hair, if you have it, on your arms or on your legs. And you're going to become aware of that, of where the hairs connect in with the skin. You're going to feel little breezes and you're going to feel the sensations of that on your skin and the different temperature zones, fluctuations, et cetera, et cetera. So you begin with your skin, right? And then you're just going to be breathing very naturally, right? And of course, hopefully we don't have to tell you this, but when you breathe, to do yogic breathing, you're breathing into your solar plexus. Try not to breathe too much into your chest, because that causes tension and it causes all sorts of muscular tension around the neck and so on. But if you do yogic breathing, then you know to breathe down into your stomach, right? Into your solar plexus. And you can breathe very comfortably there without causing any tension. So you're breathing naturally, natural cadence, and you're feeling your skin, all your whole body, the outer layer, the outer envelope. And then on your next out, and you hold this for a while, right? You really delve into and you really feel your skin. And because your skin is an organ, it's the largest organ of the body, actually. And just feel yourself in the layers of skin. So not just the surface, but just, a quarter of an inch below the surface, and you'll be able to feel it. And maybe you've got, a few little pounds, extra pounds here and there. You might not be 5% body fat. Maybe you're 25% body fat. So you can feel some of that, the subcutaneous fat. And so you can feel the thickness of your skin and everything else. And you can be there with your consciousness in that organ. And then take a nice, relaxed but deep breath and breathe out. And in your mind, you say, I am not this skin. And you let the skin go, and you go deeper now. You go beneath the skin. And what's next? Into your muscles. And now the same practice. You want to spend time in your musculature, feeling your muscles. And you're going to breathe normally, breathe just naturally and normally. And then you feel that the musculature under your skin. And it's a strange sensation, but we never spend time with our own organs. We never spend time with our body. We really don't. Not to the degree that this meditation allows. Really get to know yourself, your body. And you're going to be in your muscles and feel the muscles in your fingers. How often do you do that? And I mean, you might say, well, I feel my muscles when I work out. Not like this, you don't. And the mind-muscle connection is very important when we're lifting weights. And this practice, this meditation, will actually help assist you in making that mind-muscle connection, because now your muscles are completely relaxed and you're conscious of them. Normally, we only become conscious of muscles when they're stressed, when they're under strain, when they're under load. Then it's easy to be mindful of your muscles. Not so easy when they're completely relaxed and when they're not contracted. So again, spend some time with your muscles, and then after you've poured yourself, you've poured your consciousness, your presence, your beingness into that aspect of yourself. Nice deep breath out through the mouth, and I am not these muscles. And again, this is mentally. You don't say it out loud, you say it mentally. And then what's next? Well, you have a choice. You can go bones or you can go nervous system. Now, the nervous system is really cool if you can pull it off and actually become one with your nervous system. That is a phenomenal experience if you can actually pull it off. If not, you can go bones. You can also go organs, depending on how much time you want to dedicate to this practice. But you can go to different organs, or you can do like your whole torso, your whole chest. But because we also have the our extremities, we don't want to forget our extremities. The skeletal, you have the nervous system and you have the skeletal structure. Again, same practice, same methodology. You go and you become part of your bones, spend some time in there. Become part of your nervous system, spend some time there. And each time, after you've spent some time there, you let it go on an out breath. I am not my nervous system. I am not these bones. I would probably go bones, then nervous system, only because your nervous system relates more to the vital body. Just, you can say that the nervous system is like a bridge between your physical and your vital body. So if you finish with your nervous system, okay, then what's next? Right? You've run out of physical body. Now you go into your vital body and you pour your consciousness into your vital body. So what are you feeling for? What are you searching for? Now, this is an experiential thing. It's very difficult to talk about, but if you have ever had, well, certainly everybody has had pins and needles, that tingling sensation, like when your foot falls asleep, or some body part so-called falls asleep, and then you have that, it goes numb, but then you get the pins and needles, that prickly feeling, the pins and needles. When you're feeling the body of chi, it's going to feel something like that. Or if you've ever done qigong or tai chi, you will know the feeling of chi, and that's what you're searching for. That's what you want to be. That's what you want to feel. And frankly, if you've been doing pranayama, and all you really need to do is just put your conscious attention and intention on being in the body of chi, and you should almost immediately begin feeling this strange tingling type sensation throughout your body. And you spend some time there, and again, as before, take a deep breath and then breathe out. I am not the vital body. And you dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the next one is the emotional body, or the astral body. Now, this one, if you're really doing it properly, you keep diving deep into your emotional body until you essentially, it will feel like a body that is, gosh, what's the right word? It's what's the, what do you call it when things puff up? It's like inflammation, yeah, but it's not. It's like your whole body will feel like it's being inflated. So because your astral body actually projects out from your physical body, and you will feel that, and it's like this poofy type feeling, bloated, Yeah, as Azil says, bloated. Bloated works. Um, you know what? It's maybe possible that the Hungarian word is popping into my head, and I'm trying to find the right translation. I don't know if there's a good translation for it. Uh, anyway, but Azazil's on the right track here when he says bloated. You will feel. Hang on a second. Swollen. Yes. Your fingers, your arms, your legs, everything will feel a little bit swollen, but it's not your physical body that's swollen. To be in the astral body, the emotional body, you feel that type of sensation where you're in this energy body that feels bigger than your physical body. So everything feels like it's swollen. Okay. And then same thing. Once you spend some time there, you acknowledge it, take a nice deep breath. I am not the astral body. And you let it go and you dive deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, the next one, because the astral and the mental bodies are the same dimension, the same plane, it's more or less the same, very similar type of experience to be in the mental body as the astral body. So you want to dive. So you want to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. Or if you experience your mental body a little bit differently, then go with however your mental energies appear for you, and spend some time in the mental body. And again, after a while, you let it go and say, "I am not the mental body," and you dive deeper and deeper. Then you come up with the causal body. Now, the causal body is your body of willpower. That's your will. So, what you're looking for as you're penetrating with your consciousness the body of willpower, you're looking for that body, that feeling, that sensation that you use whenever you are exerting willpower. You know what will feels like. Now, the trick is to feel the body of willpower and still keep the physical body relaxed, because most of us have been conditioned when we are using willpower to the body has been conditioned, and the nervous system and everything, the muscles, everything is conditioned to contract when willpower kicks in, right? Because you really want to do something, right? So when you're lifting something really heavy, you know you got to put all your willpower into it. You put your backbone into it, right? But then your whole body and everything responds to that, and it tends to want to tense up. So the real trick to this, and it is tricky. This is not easy because we're not used to doing this. This is not a typical natural thing for us to do. Is to feel the body of willpower while remaining totally relaxed. Remember, we've already abandoned the physical body. It's not there anymore. I mean, it's there, but we're not there. We've moved beyond it. So you want to be able to feel and still relax that willpower, but feel that willpower. It's This is truly beyond explanation in words, to be honest with you. This is really like anything in when we talk about meditation. It's not really something you can learn from a book or from hearing somebody describe it to you. You got to do it, you got to practice it, and then you see for yourself what it's like. But this is, again, you feel that body of willpower, and then you acknowledge it, and you pour yourself into it, so that every fiber of your consciousness, of your being, is in that body of willpower. And then you say, you know what? I am not this body. I am not this body of willpower. I am not the causal body. And you you breathe it away. What's next? The Buddhic body, the body of consciousness itself. This is being conscious of consciousness. Forget about explanations, forget about how it feels, forget about anything else. That's all that we can give you. it's, we can't, that we are now in places where the mind can't go, forget about it. You're just aware and conscious of awareness, your body of awareness. And your body of awareness is aware of itself. That's all. And from this perspective, right, using your conscious imagination, once are aware of awareness, you are aware and conscious of your conscious body, turn and face your innermost being. And as you go deeper now, you bring your being closer and closer and closer until you merge with your being and you become one. And there, one, you say, I am the being. Right? I am not the consciousness. I am the being. But you are conscious and aware of the being because you've merged now. You can feel the being inside of you, inside your body of consciousness. And you say, I am the being. I am the being. I am the being. And just feel that and be in that place of oneness, of union, of yug in Sanskrit, relegare in Latin, achieving that union, that oneness with your innermost being, your inner Atman, your Atmic body. From there, there's still more levels. But from there, turn and visualize the Christ, the being of beings, the fire of fire and the light of lights. In our case, alux, all light and God light, the logos. Al lux and all lux. All light and al lux, God light, as in el lux. And then in that place, you're one with your innermost being. You can feel your being and you're one. Now you can pray if you wish. And what can you pray? Well, you pray the Our Father. And we've explained this in the past. Now it makes perfect sense. There's nobody else around. You lay down to begin your meditation alone. And now you are praying to the Logos as our Father. You are no longer an I. You left your body. You left your etheric body. You left your emotional body. You left your mind. You even left your willpower behind. But your consciousness and your innermost being, now you are a we, not an I. You are a we. So you pray, Our Father who art in heaven. hallowed be thy name. And if you want to visualize the Christ, you can visualize Jesus, you can visualize the Buddha, you can visualize any being, any Zeus, Apollo, any deity which speaks to your heart, and you can visualize them crowned in flames and fire and light and what have you. Use your imagination and pray, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. But pray as you are one with your being. And as you were before, joining with your innermost Atman. When you said, I am he, I am he, I am he, I am the being, I am the being, I am the being. Now that light, that Christ can come closer to you, and you move closer to it as you pray and as you beg and beseech. And at some point, you can merge and become one. And, well, what that feels like, we leave it to you to discover on your own. What is the advantage of this particular methodology of meditation? The advantage of this particular methodology of meditation to perform once every so often, to perform as often as you need to. As often as you need to. To do what? Well, let's answer that by responding to one of Azazil's comments here. He says, it is good to have these streams about meditation because even if we know how to meditate, it is a good reminder not to become lazy and take the skill for granted. And he says, like knowing that we could, but never do it in a devious is a devious trap as well. He also said earlier of this meditation, he said, never thought of the nervous system as a scan. It sounds like it could be used when you're deep into the first simplest method of meditation. It really, this particular practice of spending time in your individual bodies, the more you do it, the more you experience it, and the better you get at it, it's remarkable because one of the advantages of this particular meditation, there's several, but one of them is you can actually become a conscious investigator of your own health and wellness. Like when you are ill, when you are sick, imagine the ability to perform your own MRI scan in meditation. You have that ability, you have that power. It's just not developed. It's not practiced. This internal meditation is the first step towards being able to penetrate any organ in the body and being able to penetrate it consciously with a 3D visual, real-time visual representation of that organ and what it's doing and what's wrong with it. You have that ability. The consciousness has that power. You can take the consciousness into any one of these bodies and you can take it into any one of those organs. You can take it to any particular muscle in any part of the body. You can diagnose a broken bone, you can diagnose cancer, you can diagnose anything with the consciousness. It's only a matter of your ability to develop that particular clairvoyance. And it's not a huge stretch of clairvoyance because we're talking about yourself here. It's something entirely different to be able to penetrate consciously into somebody else's body and diagnose somebody else. That's a different level of healer entirely. But in order for you to be able to know what's wrong with you, you can begin using this practice to do that. That's one benefit. But of course, the second benefit is that you eventually want to get to that place where you're one with your being and even potentially one with the Christ. When, by knowing what that feels like, by having arrived at that place through this process of elimination, this systematic process of stripping away layers of the physical body, and then the vital body, the mental body, the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, into the Buddhic body, and then finally the being and feeling and being the being yourself, your true self, and then merging with the being of your being, the being of beings, the Christ, the Logos, and getting to that place and knowing what that feels like. Now, in your regular meditations, in your other meditations, you can slip into that space like that much faster. You don't have to repeat this process every single time. All you need to do is become conscious and aware of what it's like to be there and to be in that state. Then, in your regular meditations, you can return to that space much quicker and much more easily and readily. And you can feel yourself one with your being. You can visualize yourself merging with your being, and then turn to the Christ and visualize the Christ and do one Our Father, maybe two, maybe three Our Fathers, and get that Christ to merge with you. And then in your meditation, as you're sitting there, you're lying there. Now the Sacred Heart that you can visualize is the Sacred Heart of Christ, and the crown around your head, your forehead, it's the illuminated crown of the risen Christ, of the cosmic Christ. And it's all inside you, and you feel it inside of you, and you are one with all of it. Now you are in a state of being, in a state of oneness. There's no thought here. Don't be like freaking out and patting yourself on the back or thinking of this, that, and the other thing. Or, you're in a place, you're in a state where none of that is possible, except for the few things like jumping in, trying to break through and distract you and everything, and just let them go. And we'll get to that other very important technique in just a minute. But once you know this state, right? And remember, we did not think ourselves into this place. Like the New Agers who say, "Oh, I'm one with the universe," and they think they can do a couple affirmations and boom, they're one with the universe and everything. No. Because you, the mortal vessel, do not get to skip over your innermost essence, your innermost being, your true self, in order to merge and become one with everything. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. This is metaphysical science we're talking about. This is a journey within. There is nothing out there. Get it through your heads. All of that's an illusion. The entire universe is an illusion. There is nothing out there. All of it is in here and in here. You can't get to anything out there unless it's through here. This is what all those New Agers and everybody get wrong. This is what everybody who takes psychedelics gets wrong. Hopelessly wrong. Hopelessly wrong. Because they're accessing it through the infernal worlds and through the ego and through everything else, not through their innermost being. Not through their innermost being. Yeah, the Christ needs no affirmation, but the Christ, there is a methodology, there is a scientific hierarchy to get there. It's not, we just don't snap our fingers and get there. But once we know the process, and once we know what it feels like, and once we've experienced that through this process of internal meditation, now the next time we sit down for meditation, we can do our pranayamas, we can visualize, we can let go of our body like this. We can let go of our vital body and our mental body and our astral body and our causal body like that. And we can feel our conscious body, and we can see our innermost being, and we can merge with our innermost being very quickly. And then together we can turn and face the Christ, and we can pray our Father and focus and concentrate on the flaming logos and merge with the logos. And in a matter of minutes, we can accomplish what it took us maybe half an hour to an hour doing in this internal meditation, or 20 minutes or half an hour or 45 minutes, however long it takes us to get through all of these different layers of ourselves to that point. The first time, or the first few times, each time we do it, we can start shortening the layers. And then eventually we can get to the point where we just feel our physical body all at once, our vital body, our mental body, our astral body, our mental body, our causal body, and then right into consciousness, right into oneness with our innermost, and then communication with the logos and merging with the logos. And then from that place, from that space, our meditation begins on such a foundation, on such a firm footing, that we have abandoned emotion, abandoned thoughts, even abandoned our willpower. Even our innermost being, our higher self, has now put itself in the back seat. And now we have completely surrendered and completely one with, and become a part of the cosmic body of the Christ. Now, meditation begins. Real meditation begins. And the true purpose of meditation can be realized on a level that, I'm sorry, but your garden and the door and the this and the that and this guided meditation, that guided meditation, forget it. We're at a different level now. We're at an entirely different level now. And we've done it through a metaphysical, systematic, methodical, metaphysical, scientific process. We've stripped ourselves away metaphysically, physically, and metaphysically. It's a very, very, very powerful methodology. Try it. Try it. Prove it to yourself. Hermes Trees says, would you recommend this method of meditation before attempting astral projection? You can, but it's not necessary. If you feel you're being called to do astral projection, do astral projection. What this meditation that we're sharing with you is not a prerequisite to astral projection. Certainly, we didn't. It's safe to say that we did not do this meditation until after our first couple astral projections. I think if our memory serves us correctly, but we can tell you that all of our meditations subsequent to this practice were at a different level, because we did this presentation, this meditation. Our subsequent meditations were better for it, and we will incorporate aspects or elements of this internal meditation as part of our meditation preparations. And again, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Can you use this form of internal meditation in order to astral project? In theory, and again, we say this with a huge caveat. in theory, when you get to the point where you are penetrating your astral body and you can feel your astral body, again, that swollen feeling, and spend more time there, crystallize that swollen feeling, there is a possibility that if you get to that point and really feel into your astral body, like I say, really feel it, like, so don't just brush it off or anything like that. Don't spend 5 minutes there. This is like you're crystallizing it. You're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into that astral body. You're pouring all of yourself into that astral body. Then allow your intuition to guide you, and try to cultivate that semi-sleepy state. There are a number of techniques you can do. One of them, as Master Samael suggests, you can try jumping up quickly. Like if you're in bed, jump out of bed. Or if you're in a chair, like jump up out of the chair quickly. But stay in your astral body. And there is a chance, a possibility that you will leave your physical body, that you will get up in your astral body and you will look back and you will see your physical body there lying in bed. And then if that's the case, you congratulations, you just projected into the astral plane. Now, you can also combine this with mantras related to astral projection, like Pharaon, and so on. So when you're feeling into that astral body, you can also remember your divine mother. You can pray to your divine mother. You can use the Pharaon mantra, and you can start incorporating some of the other techniques of astral projection. But again, this jumping out of bed or trying to like jump out of your physical body, this takes a lot of practice, and trust me, you will go through a lot of failed attempts. You will find yourself out of your bed looking at an empty bed far more often than you will be looking at yourself sleeping in bed. Okay, so even Master Samael says the initiate must be prepared to try this 100, 1,000 times before he's successful. So this requires a tremendous amount of patience. Again, this is not related directly to your question, Hermes Tris. It is and it isn't. All I can say is I have never been able to astral project using that methodology. And I have tried hundreds of times, maybe not thousands in any number of sittings, but I've tried so many times, and I've tried mantras. I've tried so many different methodologies. For me, astral projection, there's really only two that have worked for me. One was the meditating on the anahat sound, and the other was the key of SOL, subject object location. We talked about that not too long ago. So this putting ourselves in the astral body and leaping out of bed or projecting directly while we are awake, we've never been able to do that. We've never been able to astral project that way. Lucid dreams, yes. And like awakening in a dream, yes, that's the key of SOL. And also projecting in the astral plane using the anahat sound, which is meditating on the tinnitus, right? The ringing in the ears until it becomes like a sound of a cricket. And then you roll over your right hand side, right arm under your head, under the pillow, and your left arm on your left thigh. And you fall asleep. That's called the lion's pose. That's how Buddha disincarnated off the planet. And you put yourself in that pose, right? And then you fall asleep like that, continuously meditating on the sound of the cricket. And then there's a good chance you will project into the astral plane. These are the two methodologies that work for me. So that's why this particular meditation had no direct bearing on our ability to project. But it's a good question. And again, you might have better luck with it, because again, everybody is different. Not everything works for everybody. And that's why we have so many different versions of the same practice, or so many different practices to accomplish the same goal, because we know everybody's different. We know everybody, not everyone accommodates the same practices to the same degree of effect. So, but thank you for the question, and let us know if you report back if you have success. Azazel says, in our case, we usually wait for that pulse coming from our chest without identifying with that pulse that takes us into the astral body. Okay. So in our case, we usually wait for that pulse coming from our chest without identifying with that pulse that takes us into the astral body. So again, Azazel is sharing another thing that's what works for him. We personally don't relate or identify with that experience. So feeling a pulse coming from our chest or whatever, and then having that take us into the astral plane, we've never experienced that. We don't know what that is like. So we'd have to ask Azazel to expand on that if anybody wanted more details. Okay, so those three techniques are we're just going over the okay. So Azazel says it's like an electric shock that arrives shortly before when you otherwise would fall asleep. Okay. All right. So we covered three techniques that were about going deeper into oneself. Okay. Literally, technically, mechanically, metaphysically, those three meditative techniques were all about actually going deeper within ourselves. The third one incorporated all four of the elements that we spoke of at the beginning: relaxation, concentration, visualization, and prayer. Even telling ourselves, I am not this body, it's a kind of a prayer. It doesn't seem like much, but it is. But of course, where the prayer really comes in big time is when we encounter our atmic body and when we have to merge with our atmic body. And we say, I am he, right? I am he. I am the being. I am the being. And we bring ourselves together and merge, and then we turn to the Christ and we pray the Our Father, and we're visualizing Christ. And obviously we have all four elements there: relaxation, concentration, visualization, and prayer. That modality or that recipe is one that we can use at any time. If we only have 10 minutes to meditate, 15 minutes, and we just feel like we need that, then just make yourself relaxed, make yourself comfortable. Remember, again, this isn't about proving to ourselves that we can meditate in any circumstance under any conditions. No. Make yourself comfortable. We have to be comfortable and distraction free, etc. So close your eyes, relax, concentrate, visualize a deity in whatever form that deity speaks to you. Visualize your divine mother, visualize the divine feminine, visualize Zeus, Apollo, Zoroaster, Buddha, Christ. It doesn't matter. Odin, for heaven's sake. And relax, concentrate, visualize, and pray. Again, for us, perhaps we don't know exactly why, but this internal meditation and that feeling, that experience, and just all of our meditations, whether we like it or not, want to or not, no matter if we're praying to our we're always meditating as Attlas now. So when we meditate, we're always one with Attlas. We don't know how to be otherwise. So and it doesn't take long for us to merge with the Christ, with Allux either. So it's just a matter of, we've been doing it enough times this way, and we can, well, let's face it, we have used meditation enough times for its intended purpose, which is to access information, to become one with the Christ, to become one with all monads, and to become one with the ascended masters of the White Lodge, at least temporarily, at least for a moment. And while in that space, we can ask them anything. And that's why prayer is so important. Because going into meditation is fine, and experiencing what, is it a Sanskrit word or a Buddhist word? Shunyata, or calm abiding. And then there's shamadhi, which is ecstasy. And these, of course, are experiences that we can have in meditation, but these are not the goal of meditation. Shunyata, or calm abiding, is the beginning of meditation anyway. People like Eckhart Tolle, who preach meditating and arriving and calming the waters down, and thinking like calming the waters and having the perfect calm lake, that's the goal of meditation, according to Eckhart Tolle. That's not the goal of meditation. That's the beginning of meditation, because the purpose of meditation is to receive information. And how do you receive information? How does the mountain lake reflect the heavens? When it's perfectly calm, when it's like a mirror. And that calm lake, the winds of the mind have died down. There are no more ripples on that lake. And it perfectly reflects the heavens. This is the beginning of meditation. Then the next, like, what do we want reflected in that mirror? This is where we have to ask. So, as we've described in late 2019, when the whole virus of unspecified origins was beginning to emerge, we went into meditation. 5 minutes, 10 minutes into meditation, when we were firmly established and grounded in ourselves and in the Christ, and we performed our short version of that internal meditation. But again, what we were explaining to you, once you've done the long version, getting into oneness, it'll be that much quicker and easier, because you know what it's supposed to feel like and you know how to get there. So we said, show us what this virus business is all about. And lo and behold, it was all shown to us. in this perfect 3D multimedia presentation. Our consciousness was taken into the immune system, and we were going around and we were seeing exosomes, and the whole thing was played out for us. We didn't even know what an exosome was, but everything was explained to us and shown to us, so that afterwards we could go onto the internet and we could do our research, and we discovered that medical science also knows about exosomes. And then all the articles that we researched were then subsequently taken off the internet, but that's another story. So meditation is to receive information. And in order to be able to know the feeling of being our being, to know what it's like to be the being, to know what it's like not to identify with this physical body, with this vital body, with these emotions, with these thoughts, not even with this willpower, but rather with our innermost being, to consciously feel that, to be that, to achieve that religare, that oneness, that union. Most of us, when we begin, can only experience that and know what that feels like in meditation. But the more we do it and the more we practice it, the more we can bring elements of that with us out of meditation and into our mindfulness practice, our self-observation, our self-remembering, right? Self-observation, self-remembering. Very similar to what we were doing earlier about going deeper and deeper and deeper into ourselves, right? So feeling ourselves, feeling yourself in your body, not the body, but in the body. Being, feeling your being, and remembering your being, your innermost Atman. I am he, I am he, I am the being, I am the being. Just like we did in meditation. And if the purpose of meditation is to receive information, then lo and behold, the better you get at it in meditation, the more practiced and the more able you will be able to hold that state in your waking life. And then, if you learn surrender and learn allowing and learn how to be your being, you can do waking meditations. You will be able to type the words of your being or speak the words of your being, because you will have practiced receiving information, receiving knowledge, receiving visions, receiving insight, and you will become better at seeing the living, breathing word of God all around you. Why? Because you're not seeing with these eyes or even this eye. You're seeing as your being. Your being is seeing for you. It's a very different type of, it's not so different in experience, and yet it isn't. It is at the beginning until it becomes second nature, until it becomes where it's just your default state. And well, how many years were we practicing and doing all this before? And then how many years were we, doing, just writing blogs and whatnot before we started doing those recorded videos? And those recorded videos were, I mean, they ended up being 20 minutes or whatever, but they were like an hour and a half, 2 hour long, just recording sessions of us like locked in a closet and in meditation. And just, that's how we began. We would do this meditation, and once we got to that point of meditation, then we asked for information, and we just spoke the words as as we receive them. And it was years of that, and not too many videos like that, but that was our practice, till eventually we were at the place where we are now, where we get up at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning and we don't meditate. We get up and we sit down in front of the computer and we write the book, because that's our meditation. And we can't do more than 2 or 3 hours a day because this takes effort. You know it does. Anybody who's ever meditated properly knows that it's not some vacation. It's not a relaxation exercise. People who say that they can meditate for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours are not meditating. They're not. Unless they're Buddhist monks and they've been doing nothing but meditating. And even Buddhist monks, they don't only start off in half-hour or hour-long sessions at a time. They work their way up to multi-hour sessions, and they never do it in one big stretch. It's like 2 hours and then 2 hours later in the day and 2 hours at night, tops, because of the energy it requires to remain that focused, to remain that concentrated. This is why on a day like on Sundays, because we have this live stream, our Sundays are completely shot. We can't do anything of any reasonable value. We can do physical exercise, and we can do this. And we can, of course, I don't know, spend some other time and doing some chores or garden work or that type of thing, right? But we can't do this and work 3 hours on the book and do 3 hours of meditation. We would kill ourselves. We don't have that kind of we're not a Christified master yet. We don't have that. We don't have that those alligator clips to plug into the logos on that level of power. We just don't have that kind of energy. And frankly, if you are just a beginner, meditating, you don't want to try doing 2 or 3 or 4 hours in a stretch. You will burn yourself out. You will burn yourself out. And there's no need to go for hours and hours and hours and hours. There's no need. There's no point. Meditate for as long as you need to and allow your intuition to be the guide. Even though you may get the urge to cut your meditation short, fight through the first urge to do so. Because chances are that's your ego, that's something else that's trying to kick you out of meditation, and you will know the difference. You will know the difference, because ending a meditation is never like getting kicked out of a meditation. That's something else kicking you out. Knowing that you've had enough, knowing that, okay, this is enough for today. You consciously and willfully bring that meditation to an end, or you're told to bring it to an end. It's very different than being booted out by an entity, or that's what we experience anyway, or by some ego, by some I'm uncomfortable, or I've had enough, or I'm tired, or I'm bored, or I'm this, or I'm that, or oh, did I leave the stove on, or any number of things that suddenly that's trying to pop you out to sabotage your meditation. Azazel says, yeah, might add that if you identify with that shock, go back to the relaxation practice and start over. Are you okay, this was earlier when he was talking about his electric shock about astral projection. Okay. All right, we missed that. I don't know why we missed that. Okay. All right. So, relaxation, relaxation, concentration, visualization, prayer. What else? Oh, yes. This is how does one say this? People who are unethical, they don't meditate. It doesn't matter what they think they're doing, they're not meditating. Meditation is a privilege of the pure. Now, obviously, all of us are pretty filthy from an ego perspective. Guilty, right? But you can't be indulging ultraviolence and pornography and greed and gluttony and envy and lust. You cannot be indulging these at every turn and then expect to have some kind of meaningful or profound meditation. It's just, and you can't be harming others. You cannot be putting yourself ahead of others and then expect to have some sort of glorious, samadhi, right, and meditation. The other thing, so that's one thing that really should go without saying, but now having said that, one of the most important aspects of meditation in terms of information is what we call retrospection meditation. And we mentioned this earlier. Normally, it's done at the end of the day, unless you can't do it at the end of the day for various different reasons, in which case you do it first thing the next morning when the memories are still relatively fresh in your mind and you can replay the incidents of the previous day. You can play them backwards in time or you can play them forwards in time. You play them like a flashback series, like last time on the story of your life, this happened and that happened and you saw this happen and this happened, this happened, this happened. And these were the pinnacle moments throughout the day, moments where you lost your temper, moments when you were gluttonous, moments when you felt envy, when you got into an argument, when you shouted with someone, when you felt, lazy, when you were, at any point in time through the day when you experienced drama and you in the moment identified what the cause of the drama was, meaning what ego inside of you was reacting to the circumstances or to the individuals involved. So there was an ego in you that was being triggered. And in retrospection meditation, we now go back and we replay these episodes from the day. Why are we replaying these episodes from the day? Well, we're not doing it to re-indulge those egos. We're not doing it to trigger those emotions all over again so that we can feel them and indulge them and feel that anger towards, our spouse or our family member or whatever all over again. That's not why we're doing it. We're doing it in order to observe in meditation what was going on in our mental body, our emotional body, our physical body, what sensations we were feeling, what thoughts were going through our head, what emotions were seething in our heart, and how that was affecting us physically. Now, how do we know all that? Well, we only know all that, any of that for that matter, we only know any of it if we were observing ourselves, observing our three brains throughout the day, being mindful. That's what the mindfulness practice is all about. That's what self-observation is all about, in order to gather the intelligence we need. Intelligence gathering. For our meditation practice, for our retrospection. Because we were observing, okay, so, and it's not an intellectual exercise. So we're experiencing, okay, and we observed what was happening in our three brains so we can play out the scenario again and we keep playing it out detached and dispassionately observing it, just being the observer, not getting caught up in the whole drama all over again, but observing the drama from the point of view of our consciousness. And the perspective of our innermost being. And we're asking for insight. We're asking for comprehension. We're praying for the eureka moment, but we're not expecting it. We're just allowing it and awaiting for it to arrive. And we're just doing our part, like a forensic examiner that's taking a piece of film footage and playing it over and over and over and over again. Because as that film is going through the projector, 24 frames per second, surely he might have missed something, right? And then so he slows down the film. He starts going frame by frame by frame by frame by frame. We must be that forensic examiner of our own experience. Because surely we couldn't catch everything in the moment that we were experiencing it. So our self-observation is for us that reconnaissance work, that self-reconnaissance. And then we take that reconnaissance footage, the sounds, the sights, the feelings, the sensations, and we replay them, and we wait for that smoking gun to leap out, and that's it. That's the key right there. Like the Saputo film of the Kennedy assassination, right? Which forensic examiners have been examining now for, what is it now, over 50 years, right? You have that, right? The Saputo film, yeah. And they, by frame by frame by frame by frame, match to this second, to that second, and this and that, and so on and so forth. And that whole incident, right? That film, that 16 millimeter, or sorry, it's 16 millimeter. No, I think it's 8 millimeter. The 8 millimeter camera footage of that event was the key in that entire investigation. This is perhaps one of the most important, if not the most important, purpose for meditation. And it's one that people do the least. Certainly, go and do a survey of New Age discussion groups, New Age forums on Facebook and elsewhere, and ask people if they know about retrospection meditation. Ask people how often they do it, or do they know what it is. But the ability to know ourselves and to comprehend our egos is essential, because how can we learn our lesson? How do we learn our lesson? How do we learn how to liberate ourselves from our defects and vices if we don't know how they go about messing with our human machine? This is what meditation is for, this forensic analysis of ourselves, of our defects and vices, which we observe during the day through self-observation. And then we analyze forensically with our consciousness, not intellect, but consciousness, in meditation. Visualization, relaxation, concentration, and prayer. Remembering our innermost being, remembering our Divine Mother, and praying to them for help. Show me what I need to see. I'm going to keep playing this film, the Saputo film, over and over and over again, of this argument that I had with my spouse. This argument that we always have, this repeating pattern in our lives. It's like our lives are stuck on a loop, and we keep having the same fight, or the same drama repeats in my life over and over and over again. The same addiction, pattern of, let's say, dieting and binging. What the hell is going on there? Am I completely consumed by my gluttony, or what the hell's going on? I need to know. So observe yourself going through the behaviors, and then meditate on those behaviors. And pray for an answer. Pray to be shown what it is you are missing. And again, when do you start doing that retrospection? When that lake is calm, is like a mirror, right? Don't bother starting your retrospection meditation when you first lie down, or when you first sit down to meditate. Two more quick techniques. One is psychological judo. Again, this is about preparation for meditation. And this is for those people who really suffer from the busy mind. It's really busy mind. It won't shut up. It won't leave you alone. Relax, focus, concentrate. When the thought comes up, acknowledge it, recognize it, let it go. Then another one will come up. Recognize it, acknowledge it, let it go. And then another one. Recognize it, acknowledge it, let it go. And so on, and so on, and so on. And imagine the judo master. And if you know anything about judo is that unique Japanese martial art where the best offense is a good defense, where the judo master uses the kinetic force of his attacker against it. So the judo master doesn't strike, the judo master doesn't kick, the judo master doesn't exert any force. The judo master absorbs energy and turns and redirects that same energy. So the assault comes in, I turn it, I redirect it, and I let it go. And so this way, the judo master deflects attacks. Judo is the ultimate in defensive postures. And you watch a judo master work, and he has all these different assailants coming at him, all in a circle, and he's just one after another. He's tumbling them, he's tripping them, he's sending them on their way, this way, that way, every which way, and he himself has barely broken a sweat. This might seem a little out there or a little silly or whatever, but practice it, try it. Sit down to meditate, do some pranayamas, sit down and meditate, watch the busy mind, and just let the thoughts arise and let them go. Let them arise and let them go. And just keep doing it, and have patience and have patience and have patience. Eventually, the mind will run out of attackers. If you can imagine the mind is sending like an army of ninjas against you and against the judo master, and you are the judo master, and you got to repel each of those attacks. Eventually, the army runs out of ninjas, and then the mind will just settle down and be calm all on its own. Then you are ready to meditate. Then you can begin your meditation. So in all of these practices, anytime thoughts arise, memories, sensations, emotions, songs getting stuck in your head, any number of things, just let them play out. The important thing is not to get caught up in them, because it's very easy to get caught up in one of those thoughts and be taken for a ride. And then you're lost on a train of thought. So, I think that's pretty much covers it. We'll leave it for questions, really. Anybody has any questions or comments, we'll leave it open. Nothing else is coming to mind right now at this moment that we missed something. Okay. Hermes says, hang on one moment here. I do not remember my dreams. Okay, I do not remember my dreams much. What does this mean? What is the important part we should take from dreams we remember? As I know, we have to be careful with interpretation of dreams. So, if you don't remember your dreams, you should practice more self-observation during the day. And there is an entire book called Astral Projection and Dream Yoga. So there are a number of different lectures that are all related to what's called dream yoga, which is really what your question is about. Remembering dreams is a skill. It's something we have to practice. So one of the ways that we do that, for example, is keeping a dream journal, so that when you first wake up, or if you wake up in the middle of the night, you have a journal handy by your bedside, so you can quickly write down in point form anything that you can remember, anything at all. And the more you do that, the more you will attune your consciousness to remembering your dreams more. Now, the important part about remembering dreams is because this is a pathway towards astral projection and to being awake in dreams. So before you can be lucid in dreams, you have to be able to remember your dreams. You have to be able to have dreams in the first place and remember them to be able to know that to get to the next step, which is being lucid in those dreams. And that's why self-observation throughout the day is important, because that helps us remain more awake and more present and more aware in our dreams. And that will help us remember our dreams. Now, dream interpretation is a tricky business. And frankly, there are some of what we have read or what we have been exposed to with regards to symbols and dreams and what they mean. We have to be honest and say that some of it doesn't ring true with us. We can't, unfortunately, we would love to be able to give you an example, but nothing comes to mind, probably because it was years since we looked at this in any meaningful way. Maybe because of the situation that we are in personally, lucid dreams have been meaningful for us, and some dreams have been meaningful for us. But by and large, because we get so much information from life, for us, God speaks to us in film, in television, in nature, in advertising, in the news, in events, so we receive so much information when we are awake, and considering what happens to us when we dream, and as Azza was saying earlier about the time of day and how at nighttime we would get seizures at night and stuff, like maybe it's a personal thing for us that we never put much faith or stock in interpreting dreams or seeking information or knowledge from dreams, because they can be very, very unreliable. And in our case, if we're having seizures at night, well, God knows who or what is in control of our dreams, okay? And we can tell you that there are, when you're on the path of gnosis, when you're on the path of scientific chastity, okay, you're withholding the seed, okay? You're not partaking in orgasm in any way, okay? And when you're withholding the energy, the sexual force, we become vulnerable to wet dreams. We become vulnerable to having wet dreams, and we become vulnerable to astrolarvae, right? Succubi. And we can tell you that our demon is the one who cooperates with them. Okay, so if we have a wet dream and we remember, we remember what happened, 9 times out of 10, what happens during that dream, it's an entity is fornicating with our demon, and we are paying the price. So for all of these reasons, we have just not felt that dreams of all things are where we should put our focus and our attention, especially not with our house guest and his nocturnal activities. That means dreams are he's too strong when it's dream time. So we and regardless, some of what we read about dreams and how to interpret dreams and what certain symbols mean in dreams didn't ring true to us. And so maybe maybe it's just a whole different language that we don't understand. And honestly, in that sense, we're not the best person to ask. Okay, we're not an expert in the dreamscape and the language of dreams and the symbols of dreams and interpreting dreams and in any of that. We're not even good at astral projection. Okay, so and we'll just outright, we don't want to pretend that we know something that we don't, or that we're an expert in something that we're not. We're going to be honest with you and tell you why it was never important to us. If it's important to you, that's fine. That's absolutely within your prerogative, and of course, it's something that we encourage you to look into. But we just want to be honest with you and say that we're not the best source of information, I don't think. But here is where you can go. Right? Here is where you can go. And here is where you can go. Okay, this is astral projection and dream yoga. The link is in the chat and it's on the screen. Okay, it's a free online course, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different lectures. You can read them, you can listen to them, and you know what I mean. And you can seek information elsewhere as well, by all means. So we don't want to discourage you or anyone. We're just sharing with you our limitations and our perspective, our experience as well. But that's our experience, like everybody's, is somewhat unique to us. So but Hermes Tree says that does reaffirm my thoughts on dreams, that I generally do not trust them. And he says, I agree with your thoughts on dreams. They can be very misleading, but I will look into dream yoga. Okay, all right. So by all means, you educate yourself and then make your own informed decision based on what you learn through your research. So I don't want to discourage you, but again, on the other hand, I don't want to encourage you and say, oh yes, absolutely, you're going to learn, you're going to get so much out of dreams. Maybe not. It's hit and miss, I think, for most people anyway. And a lot of people, unfortunately, dreams can be the stuff of like wishes, right? They are this wishful thinking. Wishful thinking can produce very vivid dreams, and then people have those dreams and they come away from the dreams going, oh my God, I'm an ascended master, because it was wishful thinking, right? Benjamin says, thank you for all the tips you've shared today, sir. I really wanted to meditate and connect to my innermost being. However, the biggest hurdle is the mind being worried about so many things about outside life and the emotions that drain my energy. Yes. Letting go of stuff. So really, you want to practice that psychological judo things. If stuff is worrying you, and these worries and the outside world keeps encroaching upon your meditation, then it's really, you want to practice that psychological judo technique and just say, yep, there it is, let it go. Just, yep, there it is, let it go. And just recognize that's just your busy mind, just the Tasmanian devil spinning around, whirling around, and you just got to give it time to tire himself out, to get petered out, and then and then proceed from there. And just relax, because the more you can relax physically and energetically, and breathe and relax into the breathing, and then practice the judo, and don't get worked up about being worked up, if that makes any sense. So if you're sitting there watching the busy mind going, oh my God, my mind is so busy, why won't it shut up, I want to meditate, blah, 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 you're never going to meditate, right? Because every time your mind is messing with you, you're playing right into his tactic, and you're allowing yourself to be worked up. So you have to relax and say, yep, there goes my mind again. Yep, there he is. Yep, there's that crazy busy mind. Yep, there it is, trying to get me to get caught up in his drama. Just watch it, just observe it. So, Benjamin, if you have children, or if you have an animal, and either your child or your animal is throwing a temper tantrum, as whining and complaining and crying, and what do? Right? Sometimes you just have to let them be. You just got to give them a timeout and let them have their temper tantrum. Let them cry themselves out. Let them whine themselves out. Sooner or later, they're going to realize that they're not getting their way, and that it's not working, and that you're not falling for it. It takes effort, right? And it takes a lot of willpower, especially when it's your baby or whatever and throwing a temper tantrum, and you want to pick it up and coddle it and soothe it and say, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Well, no, it's not okay, because you don't want to reinforce that kind of behavior on a child, right? Oh, you don't want to teach it by your example, and you don't want to condition it to, oh, you want something? Throw a temper tantrum. Oh, yes, then you get attention. If you throw a temper tantrum, mommy and daddy will come running. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So the same thing happens with the mind in meditation. You want to leave it be. You want to be that psychological judo, right? You gotta deal with it with the minimum amount of effort and energy, and with no emotional attachment, and no mental commentary. You don't want to beat yourself up because your mind won't shut up. That's why your mind won't shut up, because it wants you to beat yourself up, because the more you beat yourself up, the more fuel you're giving it so it won't shut up. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a negative feedback loop. Mugaboo says, dreams come in different forms. Not all dreams require your interpretation. The ones that require your interpretation are usually more symbolic than your normal everyday dream. This is true. This is true. The point being is that the ones requiring symbolic interpretation are the most problematic ones, and the normal everyday ones, depending, give or take, there's not much to learn from them, unless there's some drama involved and one of your egos are involved, in which case you can retrospect on your dreams and you can use them in retrospection. But it's the dream interpretation part that's tricky, because of the information that I've had access to. Symbolic dreams, there's a whole language of dreams, supposedly, and some of what people claim are this, and this is what this means, and this is what that means, and that means something else, and blah blah blah. Some of that just didn't ring true to us. So again, it's buyer beware. This is not our area of expertise, and all we know is that the whole field of dream understanding, dream interpretation, and so on and so forth, the whole thing for us was a big red flag. So we're like, you know what? It's there. It's there. If we have lucid dreams, that's another matter. But for the most part, for us anyway, it is what it is. And Hermes Tris says, well, the last dream I had, as mentioned last time, got turned upside down and pushed away. After that, I have not had one. As someone who has suffered from nocturnal pollution, that was a profound moment. Well, the last dream I had, as mentioned last time, got turned upside down and pushed away. After that, I have not had one. As someone who has suffered from nocturnal pollution. Okay, profound moment. Okay. Not 100% sure what you mean exactly. I had mentioned last time I got turned upside down and push away. After that, I have not had one. So you haven't had one since that dream, and that dream was a nocturnal pollution, or you've had nocturnal pollutions. And anyway, regardless, thanks for sharing. I'm not entirely sure what, there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm not, maybe I'm starting to get tired at the 3-hour mark. But you're saying you can't remember your dreams at this point. That's the and there is something on Glorianne about you can make a melon juice for nocturnal pollutions. We've never done it, but it's like anyway. Melon seed drink remedy for nocturnal pollutions. You can try it. Here's the page, by the way. Here. Melon seed drink remedy for nocturnal pollutions. It's on YouTube as well. Here's a link to the page. So they got the recipe. They'll show you how to do it. We've never done it. We've never bothered. We'll do some prayer. We work with essential oils. So we have a sage and lavender mix that we have in our diffuser, and we have that going for about half an hour before bedtime, because we go to bed early. We try to get to bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock at the latest, so we can get up early to do our work. because early in the morning is when we meditate the best, and it's when we write the best. And we try to get our important work, i.e., our meditation and our writing, out of the way first thing in the morning, and then we're free the rest of the day. And then we don't have to worry about being too tired or being too whatever, later in the, and again, as we get later in the day, the more mechanical, under the influences of mechanicity, we become, especially under the full moon. So for us, nocturnal pollutions are worst around the full moon, and generally speaking, if we eat too much red meat or we binge on stuff, that's when we get nocturnal pollutions. We have too much energy, excess energy. So we try to make sure that by the end of the day, we've used up all of our energy one way or another. So we're just not we're just not an attractive target, let's say. So, exercise, getting enough exercise, doing enough work. And so hopefully that helps. And hopefully this will help. Maybe this will help you as well. All right. Anyone have any other questions about meditation or anything else? Important reminder. Next week is Father's Day. Next Sunday, we will be taking my father someplace special. And unfortunately, next Sunday, there will be no live stream. So if you are in a country that celebrates Father's Day, maybe take this opportunity next Sunday and do something nice for your dad. So no live stream next Sunday. Again, we will post a reminder on our Facebook about the cancellation, but just to give you 1 week's advanced warning. And again, because of our circumstances, because of the fact that we're looking after our dad, our father's turning 85 in a little less than a month. So we don't know how many Father's Days we have left with him. So we will be taking next Sunday off. So we hope to see you 2 weeks from today. And we hope that you have a wonderful Father's Day. If you are a father, happy Father's Day. And if you have a father, we hope that you get a chance to be with your father on Father's Day. And hey, at the very least, next Sunday, if nothing else, next Sunday morning or next Sunday evening or whenever it is you care to meditate, try one of these meditation exercises that we shared with you today, particularly the internal meditation. Oh, and by the way, we also have a YouTube channel, which you may or may not be aware of. And on our YouTube channel, we have, if we can find it, and it shouldn't be that difficult to find. Oh, did we have to take it down? No, it's still here. Okay. All right. So there it is. Well, that's not teaching us much, is it? Okay, so here's the link. Here is the link to our guided internal meditation video. there's the short link, the YouTube. It's in the chat. Yeah, this is our guided internal meditation video. So that technique that we described, the one, your physical body, vital body, astral body, mental body, causal body, etc. Now, we did this video 5 years ago, so take it with a grain of salt. But if you can't remember, or you don't want to go back and read and sift through this live stream looking for the description, just put this on and just try to do it as a guided meditation. It will rekindle anything that you forgot about today's live stream, about this practice, about the and we've, obviously, look, this was a guided meditation, so we have visuals and stuff in here, but frankly, they're just placeholders. You're going to have your eyes closed and you're going to be listening to it, right? Oh, and yeah, you know what? There might be elements that I forgot about how to do this meditation. uh, yeah, so I hear this. Anyway, we'll have to go back and review this ourselves. Um, in any case, everything we described for you works. This additional aspect of INRI, Igne Natura Renovator Integra, these are the letters inscribed before the above the head of Christ on the cross, right? And then there's obviously we mentioned the sound of the cricket. This is these are the torii gates in Japan, the 1,000 torii gates. This is another visualization that you can use in any of your meditations for going deeper and deeper and deeper. We actually walked through these torii gates when we were in Japan, so for us, it's a very vivid memory that we can do in our meditations as well. Anyway, as a bit of a tangent, all of this just popped into our mind at the last moment when we described something else for you to consider, what you can do between now and Father's Day. Make a connection with your own innermost father. That's what the point of all of this was. And you have the resources. They're online. They're available to you. And there is, of course, Master Samael's description of this particular meditation as well, which you can find online on Gloria, and just a guided internal meditation. Diana Sophia says, thank you. You're welcome, Diana. Thank you for being here. We're down to 4 people, so I think that's probably a good indication of as good an indication as any that people are ready to tune out. So thank you for coming. I'll take any last questions or comments just in the last moments before we leave. Thank you again for spending your time here today, and we hope that you found it valuable, and that we encourage you to put into practice the information techniques that we shared with you today. And feel free to report back your success or your failures or your difficulties, your challenges, anything else you need to know, and we'll see if we can work through any of it. But remember, patience and practice are the key, and don't expect anything. If you go into meditation expecting to get something out of it, you'll never get anything out of it. That's the paradox of meditation. You have to let go of your desires, including your desire for samadhi, your desire for insight, your desire for information. Let it all go and expect nothing, and allow yourself to receive everything and nothing, and anything and nothing. Just allow and surrender to it. And in time, your meditations will take you to places where no one else and nothing else can take you. We did, actually. We did. You should. It was It was interesting. It was okay. We certainly understood where he was coming from. It was Mike Judge who made that film, and of course, he's the guy behind Beavis and Butthead. It was a little bit hyperbolic, but we definitely understood what he was getting at. So it was not our cup of tea, not our type of humor. We're not a big fan of Mike Judge. We're not a big fan of Beavis and Butthead. But from a satirical point of view and understanding who his audience is, we can appreciate where he was coming from. So yeah, thanks for the recommendation. All right. Anything else? Anyone? Any more questions, comments, concerns? Okay, so no live stream next week. We'll see you 2 weeks from now. And as always, brothers and sisters, thank you for being here. And as always, inferential peace. Take care. Have a great week.